You may have won the game, but you lost control of the team. And in the long run, if you don't lead, you're gonna lose. You need to take a step back, Nate. I said take a step back.
Get the fuck off me! Get your fucking hands on me, you fucking faggot! Get the fuck off! Get the fuck off!
Stop fighting!
Fuck you! Fuck you!
You need to stop!
Fuck you!
You had enough?
Fuck you! Get the fuck off me!
Keep it up.
Get off!
Do you want to keep fighting? Huh? Oh, you think you're tough now, huh? Huh? Come on, Nate.
Hey y'all, welcome back to Porch Psych. Today we're talking about Nate Jacobs from Euphoria. So now Nate is one of those characters that a lot of people love to hate. And I guess because the actor who plays him is handsome, people just like to romanticize this toxicity of a man. He's very controlling, manipulative, and always angry. Now, Nate does have a lot of deep wounds that could have very well contributed to a lot of these behaviors that we see. And I just want to point out that although there may be reasons or, just some explanations for why people may mistreat someone or have toxic behaviors or be abusive, and you can have empathy for those reasons and why that person became how they became. However, you do not have to put up with it, and you actually shouldn't. No one has to put up with abuse or just being in a toxic relationship because someone else experienced abuse and toxic relationships. I mean, that's kind of, passing the buck forward, and it's not fair to individuals who didn't do anything to them to get these reactions or just kind of having to deal with the behaviors, so we can hold empathy but still hold our boundaries and not deal with it. So, with that being said, let's get into his personality type. So, he's very dominating, strategic, emotionally armed. I believe his attachment style is avoidant with anxious undertones. And I think we also see just some disorganized attachment as well, because in season one, I think this was episode two, when he explodes like at Maddie because he thought that he was kind of fearing betrayal. That's the core feeling that he was having. And so he was showing like possessiveness, but also fear of being abandoned. And he kind of went between being clingy and cruelty, and he just couldn't decide on how he wanted or needed to react in the moment. And so this is like a sign of being disorganized attachment as well. I think some of those deep wounds that he might have is fear of weakness, which stemmed from finding out his father's secret, at a very young age, and then society and his own family putting into him what they believe a man or what's masculine and how he should behave, and then having to also deal with what he discovered about his father and what this actually means. And so it's this heavy secret that he has put onto himself. And I think another wound that we see is his fear of being exposed, like being exposed as weak or feminine, not as masculine as he believes that he should be. And now I'm not here to say whether Nate is gay or not. I'm not really sure. It's kind of unclear, or bisexual or whatever, he kind of identifies as. But we do see that it is causing him some sort of internal turmoil. You know, he can't grapple with whatever it is he's feeling or whatever he believes, even when it comes to his dad. So we see some of his coping mechanisms, which is violence, intimidation, you know, whether he's choking, fighting, blackmail. I mean, just super, like, just violent. This man is very violent, very hyper masculine. He projects control just to cover those insecurities. He dissociates, shut off his emotions, and he's able to just do these horrific things. And that could be, you know, of course, ba because of the things that he experienced growing up and then having to deal with his dad, but also probably a sign of his privilege and not being really held accountable. So in season one, we see that as a child, Nate is exposed to his dad's sex tapes. And I think that that left a permanent scar, of course. And it kind of set like that perception of what love and sexuality was. And I think this is when he started to connect power with being in control and then intimacy with danger. So he kind of, you know, learned these things. And when we expose kids to certain just adult concepts, they can't really piece it together as adults could. You know, they kind of view things and see it in very different ways, and this has a lot to do with their developing minds. Um, and so, you know, that was something that played a big part on top of just his father's distance and abuse, being very controlling, emotionally distant, and trying to groom his son to be perfect. And because Nate felt so powerless, you know, under his father, he went and terrorized Maddie, Kathy, you know, everyone else kind of around him because he wanted to prove something, you know, to his dad. And so that wound can carry a lot. You know, I'm not a guy or anything. However, have heard men talk about kind of that father wound and how they felt like if they could just fight their father one good time, that it will make their lives better. And although I can't understand it, I respect it, and you know, everyone kind of has their way of going about things. I don't, I would not ever suggest to be violent towards anyone or hit anyone, you know, but these are just the way that a lot of these guys have felt about their fathers. So as we get to season two, we see that Nate is still pretty manipulative. But we do see moments of him being vulnerable, especially like him being conflicted in that relationship with Cassie. He distanced himself from his father. And again, he has not, I wouldn't say that this is necessarily him evolving, but I would say that it is him kind of just showing us the various sides because we are super dynamic, you know, we aren't just one way. And so them showing this, but I think that him threatening Maddie in season two, that was just kind of I feel like that was rock bottom. And unfortunately, I'm so sad for Maddie. I mean, it was so awful, you know. But I think that we saw the desperation in Nate and how far he was willing to go. Even though he turned it around and said, you know, it was nothing in the gun, he still needed her to believe that she could have possibly died in that moment. And that's how serious it was for him. That showed the desperation and how far he's willing to go just to hold on to that secret. You know, shame is a very powerful emotion that we don't talk about enough. Shame can be very deep rooted, and a lot of people may not even know that that's what they're carrying around. It's very heavy, you know, just super heavy feeling to carry around, and it can really have a huge impact on someone's life. So that is all I have on Nate Jacobs, and I just want to say, you know, if you've ever struggled with anger, shame, or family trauma, that you are not alone. And I think Nate's story kind of gives us an example on how we can put these traumas off on other people. and that we have to get healing. You know, we have to try to heal these wounds that we have. So thank you guys for listening. I hope you enjoyed. Until next time.